I'm inside and I saw Groundhog Day. It is directed by Harold Ramis. My previous exposure to Groundhog Day, the movie, is I saw it once before. I've previously heard of Harold Ramis and Bill Murray from Ghostbusters. If you haven't seen my Ghostbusters review, I have these here. I've done a lot of them. So if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. The movie starts, we're following Phil Connors. He's a weatherman. It's February 1st and it reports, oh, there's going to be no blizzard whatsoever hitting Western Pennsylvania. He doesn't seem to be a very cheery person. He seems to be very, I do not like life. A very cynical man. I am Phil Connors. Phil Connors does not seem to be a very happy man. He does not like his life, it seems. He's very arrogant. I wouldn't say arrogant. I'd say he's more like flat out disrespectful towards everyone, including his crew members. Doesn't care about the little details. Of course, this will come back to bite him in the butt. At this moment, I'm not a big fan of Phil Connors. I would like his attitude to change. Would you like his attitude to change? Phil Connors has to go to Punxsutawney. They say it several times in the movie. They even showed it in writing several times in the movie, and I can never get how to pronounce this. But this Punxsutawney Phil, it's Groundhog's Day. He's gonna look at the shadow and see if there's going to be 6 weeks more of, man, imagine if there was 6 more months of winter. That would be horrible for the economy and everything. But 6 weeks of winter, he's going to be like, ooh, is there a shadow? Me, a groundhog, is a season god. It's crazy how much a groundhog has to do with the weather. It's crazy, right? Phil Connors has to go to a town, right? He's in this inn. He's in an inn. He's not outside of the inn just yet. He's kind of, generally dismissive of people. He seems like he just wants to be alone and do his job. Wakes up 6 a.m. Oh, it's Groundhog's Day. He does a really bad report on Groundhog's Day. He's like, yeah, hey guys, yeah. I'm Phil Connors, and I'm totally going to disrespect your tradition by calling the groundhog a rat. Hey, look, it's a rat. He's looking at his shadow. Would you look at that? There's going to be 6 more weeks of winter. Oh boy. Man, first of all, Phil Connors, a rat and a groundhog look completely different. Please, get your rodents correct, at least. You're a news reporter right now. You should be like caring about the details because it's your professional job, but you're not. And then you're like, oh, I'm gonna go leave town. And turns out there was a blizzard. That you reported that there would not be a blizzard, but there is a blizzard. Bad at his job. Wow. Also, you're stuck with your cameraman and your other woman. Her name is Rita. Well, they're not dating. They're just colleagues. Rita doesn't really like Phil Connors that much. I wouldn't really like Phil Connors either, but he goes to bed, he wakes up, it's Groundhog Day again. He's like, oh, deja vu, oh boy. What is this? I feel like I'm experiencing some deja vu. He talks to Ned Ryerson. Man, what a forgettable guy. I feel nothing for this Ned guy, because even though he says, oh, you remember me, Phil? Phil, I'm Ned, don't you remember? It's like, where would he remember you from? I've seen you multiple times throughout the rest of the movie, and I forgot your last name, so you're not really a memorable dude, Ned. Ned, very annoying. There's a few sequences where you see Phil just stepping into a puddle of slush. But throughout these different occurrences of Groundhog Day, he's able to learn more and more of what's going to happen. He predicts Ned's going to be here. There's a part where he even pushes Ned, punches him, get out of here, Ned. There are no consequences to me in this time loop that I'm stuck in. And it's really interesting. What would you do if you were stuck in a time loop? Would you do what Phil Connors does and tries to do a bunch of bad things. He tries to go rob a bank, does a bunch of dangerous stuff. He's binge eating. He's like, oh, I have no consequences. And of course, when you have no consequences, being a human nature, you're eventually going to get sick of that. You're gonna be like, oh, well, if nothing can happen, then I'm bored. Then this is really depressing. And that's what happens to Phil Connors. He's stuck in this loop for many, many times. And he's like, oh goodness, I do not want to be stuck in this loop anymore. I just want time to continue. But it's like, it's just the same day over and over and over again. Just because, you know, the literal date has not changed does not mean that you're not gaining perspective. Because you're gaining like a lot of perspective in how the single day will operate. But it's like, just treat that single day, it's like the rest of your life. Clearly, Phil Connors is not appreciating his life. And so there's several attempts where he tries to end his life. But it's like, dude, just live out your life, dude. Come on, just do that. You don't have to be stuck in some arbitrary, time loop. Oh, how do I escape this time loop in order to need to learn to appreciate your life? He tries the toaster in the bathtub trick. He tries other means of making sure he's no longer on this earth. And they all fail. He keeps waking up. But he's like, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being in this time loop. I'm gonna try to court Rita. I'm gonna learn things about her. There's gonna be many, many failed attempts. But eventually, I'll use the time that I'm stuck in this time loop heckin' bad time. I'm having a bad time here, says Phil Connors. He's like, I'm gonna learn piano. I'm gonna use this to learn ice sculpting. And I'm like, man, you know what's really funny about ice sculpting? The fact that like the ice itself melting is the time frame in which you have to learn to ice sculpt. It's really interesting. He's like, oh, I just have the same piece of ice over and over again that I can use to sculpt and hone my skill. Of course, being stuck in a time loop, you gain skills. I'm like, good. At least you have some sort of skill. You have a piano skill. You can use this time loop to really help people. You can help people not destroy their things, help people not die, except for you can't really help people not die from natural causes. If you're in a situation where you're able to save like a bunch of people's lives because you know how time's gonna go, and you still can't save a person, that must feel bad, honestly. But of course, Phil Connors learning more and more about Rita. First it was a bit, okay, I'm just gonna learn to see if I can sleep with her, okay? But actually, he learns a thing or two about her. And he actually starts to appreciate her as a person and starts to fall in love with her. And he can't just be like, I love you, Rita. Because she's gonna be like, you don't know me at all. How are you supposed to know who I am? There's this one time though, where Phil Connors is like, oh my goodness, I have to tell you, I'm stuck in this time loop. And let me tell you all these things that I know will happen right here, right now, to convince you, Rita, that I'm stuck in the time loop. And it takes him to impress her with the massive amount of people telling her about him being such a good person, plus few instances of him playing the piano. Well, by few, I mean like one really good instance of, oh, you're playing the piano. She's like, oh my goodness, the piano playing. That makes me wet. Piano keys equal wetness, okay? This is what this movie is teaching me. What else did this movie teach you? Let me know in the comments. Of course, we have Phil Connors. He's like, all right, I'm gonna take you to my room. You finally have been convinced. Man, when will I get out of this time loop? And he's like, you know what? I don't even care anymore. I don't even care. I just know that I love you, Rita. I don't even care if I'm alone. I'm just happy knowing that I love you. And they get together, and then it's February 3rd. I'm like, finally. It took so many instances of this day, the second day of February, to teach this man to appreciate his life and appreciate the people around him. I really think that if Phil wasn't so obsessed with whatever he's obsessed with, I think it's just being alone and being a cynic. I think he was really obsessed with that at the beginning of the movie. I feel like he would have not appreciated his days until the last day that he had, which was really sad to hear that he didn't appreciate his life. Now he does, so that's okay. The movie did its job. It made me think, oh man, maybe I should appreciate the people around me. I already do, but what about you? Do you appreciate the people around you? They could be gone soon. Maybe tomorrow, you don't know that. This movie made me think a bunch. I like the fun nature of the days repeating. I like this movie's concept. For the first time when I heard this movie, I had not heard of another movie like it, and I enjoyed it the first watching, and I watched it again to see if it was still good, and you know what? I like understanding more about Rita and understanding more about Phil Connors. I feel like the movie was mostly just an exploration on them two and the relationship and how it eventually blossomed. Because Phil Connors learned a valuable lesson, I gotta give this movie like a solid 8.5 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another video. YouTube really likes that. You can also like, comment, subscribe, and share this video with everyone you know. The ultimate goal of this channel is for me to become an expert movie reviewer, so if I haven't reviewed on the channel, there's a chance I haven't even seen it at all. If you'd like to request a movie in the comments below, you can do that, or you can fast track a movie review request to patreon.com/ASEPresents for $20 a month for one movie review per 1 month, or $3 a month for 250 vlogs that are up there right now, plus the how to draw Pokemon tutorials will be posted there first at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness of all these daily movie reviews, you can go to this link tree. Fansly is free to follow. That's my main site. It really helps with the daily grindiness of all these daily movie reviews. So go here, and until next time, I've been Salad Sauce. See you later, my salad croutons and bacon bits.